Hello lovelies, this is Robin Dudley Howes, the Artsy Bohemian, coming to you from my studio in Los Angeles, California. Today I'm going to show you how to extend a binding on a book that's pre-made. This is the accordion folded book that I had made my last flip through last week, and if you remember, and I will show you again, the binding was too thin for how much stuff I had put into it. It was just packed and I could barely close it. So I tried to figure out what would be the best way to do this, and I figured, you know, because I'm not going to be actually putting any I'm not going to be putting any holes in this like an actual binding, I'm going to be using cardstock similar to this. I'm going to be cutting the binding off and adding a new strip of binding, and then I'm going to be putting some book cloth on top of it. So you'll need a steel ruler, a X-Acto knife, and some fairly thick cardstock. It just depends on how thick your book covers are. This, I think, if I look at this, looks like it was 2 pieces of cardstock put together. So what I did was I just kind of figured, well, this is 110 cardstock, which is pretty stiff. It's not chipboard because chipboard would be too thick for this. So what I did was I took 2 pieces and cut them the length and the width that I wanted, and then I glued them together. For this one, I figured an inch would be plenty. So this is an inch wide and it's 22 centimeters long. Or, you know, it didn't really work out in inches, so that's why I did it in centimeters. So it's about 8 and 5/8, 8 and 5/8, or 22 centimeters. So I'm going to take my straight edge on my steel ruler, and I'm going to cut off the binding here. Also, you're going to need a cutting mat. Just make it sure it's lined up properly. And I'm not sure how sharp this blade is, so I'm going to cut that off. Cut this off. So just like traditional bookbinding, you're going to be adding these 2 together with about 1/8 of an inch separating them. And so what I'm going to do now is I am going to add the fabric book binding material, and I just had it. So I want to make sure that the everything stays in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this, it's kind of like a fabric first aid tape, and I'm going to line it here so that I can see that it's going to stay before I put my book cloth on it. And you guys, book cloth, you can use anything you want. I just happen to have this. I've had it forever. You can look online to see to buy book cloth. If I remember, I will try to put a link for book cloth, and there's also tutorials on how to make your own book cloth. But basically, it's a very tight woven linen or cotton fabric, usually, that has paper on the backing of it, so that the glue won't seep through the surface that you're putting it onto. It's what, you know, like real bookbinders use for binding their books, or using it for book cloth for the covers. So I might just kind of tape it in a couple spots. I just want to make sure it stays in place. And by the way, this is really good to add on the binding. So you can use what I'm using here, which is a grid, to kind of keep it lined up. You don't want too much of a gap. I had a couple of people request how to make one of these books, so I will be showing you how to do that, but I thought I should do this part first. So I will be showing you how to make this style of book. I may even show you how to put one together if you can't find a book like this that's already made. Like I had said in the video I made before of the flip through, I bought the actual accordion book from Daiso, and I put the name of it in the description box below. It's a store that is here in Southern California. I'm not sure if it's in any other place, but they do have an online presence. It's just you have to buy things in bulk, and I looked for this book online and I could not find it. So I went to the two Daiso stores that are by me, and I bought them out. They didn't have very many. I think I was able to buy 9 or 10 of them. So I will put them in my Etsy store if you want to buy one. So I'm going to put that on top, and I'm going to look at it like this to see where I'll glue it down. I'm going to put one on the front and the back, and then I'm going to trim this. And then this will be nice because it's nice and sturdy and pliable. And then when I put my end covers on, it'll kind of cover this part up. I mean, it'd be kind of fun to even rubber stamp on it in gold if you want to. You put rubber stamps with paint. And you should probably use a PVA glue, which is more like an acid-free glue, but I'm just going to be using this stuff. I've never used this, the quick dry tacky glue, and we'll see how this works. And you know, this isn't like the way that you should be doing this. You should be using a brush and PVA paste or glue, but I don't think this is going to be around for 100 years, so I think I'll be okay. It kind of takes the fun out of it for me to have to do all that stuff. So and you should put clips on it so that it lays flat, or lay weights on it. Supposedly this is fast drying. It looks like it is pretty good for that. So we'll see. I have my bone folder with me. Do I? do the other side, and then we'll continue with this, the construction of the book. I'm going to keep flipping it back and forth, making sure that it sticks. And I'm not making this perfect because I'm probably going to cover it. I just wanted it to be fairly sturdy. It's definitely not for decorative purposes. It's more utilitarian and practical. Okay, I'll be back. So this is almost dry. So what I'm going to do is going to take some kind of implement. You can take your bone folder if you want to. And I'm going to, and this isn't my bone folder. It's just something I saw that I had close by. And find where the channels are and just kind of go back in there so that it opens easily. Try not to bend it when it's still wet. It'll warp the binding. Do it on this side. Let's see, I think I have another. Maybe not. Trim it here. And this will be a lot better. See that? How it's a lot wider. And then I have room to play. I didn't have any really, see how much, there's about, gosh, there's quite a bit of room in there now for me to add ephemera to the pages so that I'll be able to close it. And that this tacky glue worked pretty good. Quick dry. So I'm gonna trim this. I think I'll use my X-Acto blade. And then I'll just talk to you about the dimensions of the accordion. It turns out that I looked at the anatomy of this when I pulled it out because it opens up. There's quite a few pages where it opens up, and it's about 2 yards of accordion folded pages, and it's not there. It's one piece, so I don't think very many people have cardstock that's that long. So we'll have to figure out how you can make something like this if you can't, if you can't find one like this. And it's basically putting 2 pieces of cardstock together and making a tab so that you can make a fold-out page like this accordion page. So I'm going to cut this excess off. So this has a cork back on it, and it's great because it doesn't move as much as other rulers. Stand up for this one. We have a nice clean looking binding, and it folds really well. It actually doesn't look too bad. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to decorate everything yet, but it looks pretty nice. I am definitely going to cut this off. Okay, so now I'm going to show you, I showed you how to do an extended binding on an already made book or accordion folder. And now I'm going to show you how to make an accordion book, and it's a kind of a hack. It's a little bit quicker method than what you would normally do. And here's a smaller version. I'll show you that in just a minute. But this is the, just to refresh your memory, this is the accordion book that I had made. And it was, you can see it's almost impossible to close. And so that's why I figured I would make another one with a larger spine. And this spine is very, very narrow. That's all it is right there. And I mean, I can still close it, but it's so fat that I'm afraid to close it completely. So the hack is, and I think you'll like this, basically using pre-made cards. So you know those cards that you can get in Joann's or Michael's or any of the hobby stores where you get a value pack? This one had 25, and it comes with envelopes and cards. So what I did was, I'm going to do two. This is the one, I already made this so that I could kind of see how it would work. And it's made out of these cards. So they're already folded, pre-cut, and you don't have to worry about measuring anything. The only thing we are going to be measuring is the book cover. So this is the smaller version. This is the regular size. I think it's a 5.5 by 4 inch card. And so this is what it looks like. So it folds out and you get 9 pages on each side. I've copied the same style as this accordion book. And this is the one that I had some people ask about. I will have some of these for sale. I went to 2 Daiso stores that I live by and bought the rest of their accordion books out just so I could have them available for you guys. You can try to look on their website. I tried and I could not find any. They're called a scrap album, A5 craft scrap album. There's 10 pages. And that, somebody had asked about the, I don't know if you can see that. Oh, here. There we go. That's the SKU number. But like I said, I will have them for sale in my Etsy store. And they include shipping. Okay, so that is what I did when I made this. I copied the amount of pages that were in here because it folds out like this, several pages. It's, you know, it's a fairly large book. It's 6 by 8.5 approximately. Excuse me. So I'm going to give you the measurements for the book cover, and I'm going to show you how I put the cards together. And this is just the book cover that I'm going to make for the larger one. So what you're going to do is you need 8 cards, and that's what I used for the smaller one. This is the smaller one. These are the larger cards that you can buy in bulk as well. So they come like this, and then you fold them. So you're going to need 8 cards, and that's going to give you a fairly long accordion. And how you're going to do this is you're going to You're gonna fold them in what I call mountains and valleys. And I'm gonna undo this here. I already kind of put this together to show you how it will look before it's all glued. And then I'm gonna take it apart. So what I suggest to you is when you're putting this together, so you have, let's say you have a pile of cards here and you folded them all and they're ready to be made into an accordion. I use these two for the back because I had two different colors. So I wanted to do this, like I said, exactly how the ones were made that were from Daiso. And so I started with, this is the front. This is going to be the first page. And it opens on the opposite side that you would normally open it. So there's one. And then the other one's going to open the opposite way. And you're going to insert them like so, like this. So you have this shape to start with. So again, you're here with your card, and this card, the opposing sides slip right into each other like this. And that's all you're going to be doing for every card. So I'm going to slip this one here, and you can see what's going to start happening is you're going to get these mountains, which are the top point, and then the valleys. Mountain, valley, back and forth and back and forth. And then you're going to glue all of them together. So the fold is on one side and then the fold is on the other side when you slip it in like this. Again, do it the other opposite side. So now the fold is on the top, and then the fold is on the bottom. And I'm going to do the last two. So I have fold on the top, fold on the bottom, now fold on the top, and then fold on the bottom. And so that gives me this. So now when you glue it, try to use, you can use like a matte medium with a brush. That would work. I always try to do things really quick. This actually works great because it doesn't warp the paper. Just have to make sure you work kind of quick because it dries pretty fast. I wouldn't advise tacky glue or Mod Podge because they warp the paper. And the cool thing about this is that really makes a really sturdy accordion fold. So I am going to just unfold this because I know it's going to go right back in here. So I know where to place it. So let's go ahead and start. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I never used to use fabric tack, and then I saw so many people that liked using it, and so I went and bought some. Of course, I used my coupon because it's kind of expensive. I think it's like 14 or 15 bucks for this size, and I'm already almost a quarter of the way through with it. So, and I just got it maybe, a couple weeks ago. So now I know that this is going to go right here because that's where I marked it. You just got to make sure you keep pushing the cards in and just kind of push it down. And you're going to do that with every single card. Keep making sure that everything's pushed in. So that one page is on there, and now I'm going to do the other side. I'll probably be using one of these for my next journal, which will be, I think it's going to be kind of a gypsy Halloween fortune teller type of a journal for Graphics Fairy design team. It's due in about 2 weeks, so thought I might as well do this and have it be a part of that. So now you don't have to keep these together. I think when I was actually making the first one, I took them apart, but this is just to kind of keep it on track so you know where to put the fold. And because the glue dries so fast, it's quicker than taking the card and then slipping it in, just even, you know, trying to figure out where it goes. So that's why I'm doing this. If you're using a glue, an adhesive that's a little bit slower drying, you could you'd probably be fine by taking them apart and then putting it back together. Okay, so I'm doing this one. So did you see what I did? I just refolded the cards, make sure that everything's lined up before I move on to the next one. Now you could obviously do this and cut your own cardstock to the length and width that you want, but this is just a quick way to do this. You could even just do it with 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock and fold those in half and make an accordion fold. So see how it's coming along here. We got those. Now we're going to do this side because that one's not glued on. And just make sure it's not gluing it to itself, and those two are on the back. So we already have these two glued together. See, and now I'm going to do this one. It just helps keep everything together so you know exactly where to glue. Yeah, so you can use regular paper. It would be a little bit flimsier. This is a cardstock because it's made for cards. So it really gives a nice sturdy accordion folded book base. Paper would be a little more flimsy. You could take 12 by 12 cardstock too and fold it in half. That would be kind of a very big, long, 12 inches long and 6 inches wide. So yeah, just make sure when you do glue it and just kind of line everything back up, pressing on it. And like I said, this glue dries pretty fast, and you can see that it's not even warping. It's amazing. So now we're going to do this page here. Just going to double check to make sure everything's lined up right. So I have that one, that one, that one, and now this one. I'm going to be gluing that one down. Flip it over this way. Oop. Ooh, the glue's just starting to come out. Let me know if this is how you do your accordion books. I know there's another way where you cut each sheet and then you put a little tab on each sheet of paper that glues on to the next sheet, but that's kind of a lot of work, a lot of measuring. Yeah, so this is just one way, and I'm sure it's been done before. But I had several of you asking about the accordion book and how to make it, so I thought I would figure out a hack for it that would be a little quicker. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you can get these cards in bulk. Not very expensive, maybe $6-7. You get 25 cards, and if it only takes 8 cards to make a journal, then you have about 3 journals. And when these make cute little keepsakes, gifts, they don't take too long, especially if you don't put a ton of ephemera and stuff in them. You know, just put some lined paper as the signatures maybe, or some copy dyed paper, and you have a cute handmade book. And when they're made with the binding that I'm going to show you and the covers, they just feel really good. Whew. The thing about this glue though is it's kind of smelly. I think it has alcohol in it, so that's why it dries fast. And this is the last one, I think. See how that's coming along there? Sometimes these types of projects look a lot more complicated than they are. So hopefully this made some sense. Let me know in the comments below if you're able to make one like this. Okay, so we have the base of our accordion made, and then you can decorate this as much as you like I did my little Halloween witchy book. Or you could keep it, you know, plain like this. It would be cool to do it with watercolor paper if you paint. In fact, that would be a really fun gift to give somebody who paints. And it's nice and sturdy too. It feels really good. So I'm just going to take my bone folder and go over this just to sharpen the edges. Looks like I didn't do a perfect, but that's okay. So I'm just creasing the edges one at a time. And this will seal any glue that might not have stuck to the paper. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do the binding. We're doing a 1-inch spine because as I said, the original one, the spine was only about 1/2 inch, and it wasn't very, it didn't allow for lots of fun ephemera. If you don't want yours to be stuffed with ephemera, then you could do a 1/2 inch binding. I'm going to give you the exact measurements. Okay, so for those of you who know how to make book covers, this is going to be redundant, but there might be, I have a little a cute kind of a way to do the corners that you might be interested in. So this book cover is going to be for the larger accordion fold that we just made. And what you're going to do is you're going to make the book covers. This is, well, the book cover on the back and the front, 2 pieces. You're going to be making 2 pieces 1/4 of an inch wider from side to side than the actual cardstock, and that's going to allow some leeway. You can see it's about 1/4 of an inch wider, for you to open and close the book. And it should be the same length as the book cover. So you're only going to be making 2 pieces of cardboard 1/4 of an inch wider than what this width is here of the accordion fold, and no taller than the length of this. So for example, this one is the cover sizes for the larger cardstock accordion is 5 1/4, because this is only 5 inches wide. So I made it 1/4 of an inch wider, and it's 6 1/2 inches long, and that's exactly how that's the length that I made the cardstock. The smaller one, the covers is the chipboard on the front and the back are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 for this smaller size, which is a typical size for a card. And so as far as cardstock goes, this is chipboard or bookboard. Either one will work. If you have no idea what that is, you can Google it, or you can just take 2 cereal boxes and glue them together with these measurements. This kind of has to be precise. You can use your paper cutter if you want, and I had to go over mine several times with the paper cutter because it's kind of thick. And or you can use a ruler, a metal ruler. A cork-back metal ruler is best, and an X-Acto blade. Or if you have a cutting mat for quilting and a rotary blade, that works too. I just wanted to show you, I don't have the packaging for what I used here, but this is packaging for bookboard. This stuff is super, super thick. It's like twice the thickness of this one. And this is pretty thick. So I didn't want mine to be that thick. So you can either, like I said, you can look for chip, CHIP board, or bookboard online if you wanted to make your own book cover. And then, just like I showed you with the this binding here, I made it 1 inch wide and the same length as the book itself. So that's what I did for the binding. And so for the outside cover of this, I used some paper. The dilemma with making one this wide and with just one sheet of paper is that you can't buy, a scrapbook paper is only 12 inches wide, and you need to have extra on the sides. So this was about 12 inches wide with all this put together. So you have to use paper that comes in rolls. You can use old, it doesn't have to be old. You can use wallpaper. You can use fabric if you wanted to, like a thicker fabric, book cloth, which is what I used to bind the other journal. And like I said, this comes in with a paper backing and a very, very finely woven cloth on the top. So this is book cloth, and it's kind of pricey, so you can look that up on Google. Handmade papers like mulberry paper. Again, I got this at Daiso, but you can probably find this in most craft stores. But the reason why is because it's big. It's a big sheet of paper, and that's what I had to do with this. I had to go through my stash and find something that I wanted to use that was long enough, because in the end this is about, I think it's 14 inches long. Yeah, it's about 14 inches long this way. And then I did it about 7.5 inches this way. Now for this one here, I actually had a border when I made it of the paper that I put on the cover and the back cover. It had a 1-inch border all the way around it. When I cut this, I kind of messed up, but it's still going to work out. It's still fine, because basically what you're going to be doing is, once you glue all this down and you have your corners all nice and neat, you're going to be putting another sheet on the inside of decorative paper, or, you know, whatever paper you want. So the little trick I have for this is, first I'm going to glue this down, and then I'm going to show you what I did. And then also, in order for you to get this placed right so that it's fairly lined up, is you're going to take a pencil and you're going to just mark the corners like here, like on the sides here, so that when you glue this down, you know, you kind of have a mark of where to set it. And honestly, it's probably best when you do this type of thing to stand up. I'm not going to stand up because the microphone's really close to my mouth when I on my camera, so hopefully that'll work. And I already folded this, so I kind of knew. But that gives you a marker, and if you can't see the mark, then use a white pen maybe. So all I'm going to do, and I already showed you how to do this part with the other book binding, but I lined it up so that there's a nice channel in between both of the books, the spine and the covers, and it's about 1/8 of an inch, give or take, you know, a centimeter or millimeter. And then I glued it all down. I mean, not glued it, I taped it with this kind of fabric type of microfiber. It's by 3M, and it's called Micro Pour, and I really like using this. It's kind of like washi tape, but it's stickier and it's see-through. I like that it's see-through and it's super thin. So I did that on both sides so it wouldn't slip around. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to use this glue again and glue it down. I think I'm going to just do one at a time because, like I said, it dries really fast. So glue this down, and honestly, really, it's probably best to do like some kind of paste glue, a PVA glue, because it just gives you better coverage. Push that down, and I kind of already know where to go here. And I'm going to do the binding. And I am putting it on the binding channel itself too. And then the other half. Okay, so got it glued down, and I'm just going to go back over the front with my bone folder. If you don't have a bone folder, you can use the back side of a large spoon. Just kind of will push out any of the air and the excess glue. So now what you're going to do is you're going to fold up the edges. And a little trick is to take your bone folder and push your bone folder against the side so you get a nice crisp fold on all the sides. Okay, so then my little trick is, so after you've folded both sides down, and if one side, like so these tabs on the sides are wider than these tabs, but it doesn't matter as long as you have something to work with. So what you're going to do is, let's see here. So you're going to start with the ends on either end, and you're going to fold it in, then you're going to fold in the corner end here. It's kind of a little bit of origami type thing here. So we're going to do one fold like this, and you're going to do that on the other side. So you have folded in like this. Okay, so you have it folded in like this on either side. And so what you're going to do is you're going to open it up, fold this back this way, and there's already that fold there, so you're just going to take that and fold it in, and it makes a really beautiful mitered edge without, I don't know if you've ever made books before, if you don't cut it the right way, you'll have like a little gap here. And this really will only work with a thinner type of a paper. This is kind of a thick paper, but it's still working. Or like a thin fabric, but fabric's a little tricky because it's not gonna, it doesn't fold as well. But I'm gonna show you on all four so that you can follow along with me, because I know it's a little tricky. And then what we're gonna do at the end is we're gonna miter just a little bit so it doesn't bunch up here. Okay, so again, we did our little fold here. Now open it up. Open it up and then fold this in. And you have to make sure all of these are folded before you even do this. Fold this side here in, and you're going to have this nice mitered bookend. I'm going to do it on the other side. Once we do that and we have exactly where we know we're going to be putting it, I'm going to trim it just a little bit so that it lays a little bit flatter, and then we're going to glue it down. Okay, so we're going to fold this way first. Then you're going to take and fold the corner in, and this is only going to go to the edge of the book cardstock. You don't want it to go over. So it's here, and you're just going to fold that in, and then you can bone fold that if you want to. And the same for this side. I'm going to fold in and make like a little triangle. So you have those there. Then you're going to open it back up, fold this in on one side, and since you've already folded it, you already have this end that's going to just automatically flip over. And I'm going take my bone folder and just press it down. There's my third corner. And if it bunches up, you can just by a hair kind of push it so that it's not going to bunch up onto the corner. So you have this nice crisp edge here. See that? All of this is going to be covered with the end paper that we're putting in. And so again, I'm going to fold this side here, here, and here. See how fun that is? So what I'm going to do, and this is optional, is I'm going to just take a hair off of this so that it'll lay a little bit nicer. And it's the corner, this corner side here. And you don't want to cut it all the way to the tip, just a little ways. I'm going to put a little bit more here. And do that on all four corners, and then we're going to glue it down. And then we'll put the end paper in. Just a little tiny bit. Okay, so this is another little tip I'm going to show you when you're gluing everything down. The trick, and you may know this already, like I said, bookbinding has been around for thousands of years. So, but the trick is to keep your glue, make sure you put glue in the channel here that's butted up against the cardstock or the chipboard that you have. This will give you a really nice crisp fold. Make sure that I'm folding this on the right. Yeah. So make sure you take your bone folder and go against the edge and then bring it forward. Go against the edge and bring it forward. This will give you should take any bubbles out. Make sure that you really push against your paper and then bring your bone folder towards you. I'm going to do it on the other side. Make sure that this is going to fold right. And because you've already folded the corners, you should know the paper will have memory and just fold back to where you had folded it originally. See that? Over that little tab. Oh, I see what I did. There we go. And I need to put a little glue in here. So now all we're going to do is going to glue these down because we've already folded them. I'm just going to take my bone folder and really make the edges crisp. Okay, now I'm going to glue these down. Take those tabs. Go in the channel that's butted up against the cardstock or the chipboard that you have. And then we'll be almost ready to make our cute little accordion book with a customized book cover. Another option is you can use book covers from old books and make this. You just gut them out, use the book and the spine that's intact, and then glue in your accordion pages. I'm just kind of gluing down these little tabs here. You could probably cut them off, but I've just made so many books that I know that by cutting stuff off, I'm always remorseful. Take that bone folder and really push it up against the edge, and it'll have a really crisp connection to your chipboard. So there we go, and that's that's what it should look like. I'm not going to bend it just yet. It's really pretty paper. I've had this forever. So I already cut this piece of paper out, and I'm just going to glue that down. And this was paper that was given to me by my friend Kim. So if you're watching, Kim, thank you. I am going to... Oh, I didn't make it big enough. I should have made it long enough. Well, I think what I'll do is I'll just cover the edges with something else here. Yeah, so you definitely want to make sure, you know, you make it long enough so that so nothing from underneath shows. And what I probably will do, maybe I'll make it this way, and then I'll just put a strip of something over here. Actually, that's going to be covered. Perfect. That's where my accordion book is going to go, so I don't care. So again, you can take a pencil and mark the corners so that you know where to glue it down. And then you can erase these if you want, if they're going to be visible. I am going to just do a little bit at a time because, again, this paper, this glue dries so fast. That's a good thing and a bad thing sometimes. so now that I know where to put it, I can just plop it down where I made those marks. Just push it down and then do the other half. Make sure to put the glue in the channels, because if you don't, they'll be kind of like air floating in there. The channels, like what I mean is the channels that are between the book binding and the the covers. Kind of press down where when you're pushing into the channels, you have to be gentle because it'll rip the paper. Just kind of push it in there just a little bit so you know that it's kind of grabbing, the glue is grabbing the paper. Cool thing about this glue is it just kind of balls up and comes off, so that's kind of neat. You go from the inside out, and again just go gently in the channels there. And then when it's all dry, then we'll bend it. Just wait just a few minutes before you do that, or longer depending on what kind of glue you're using. So that looks pretty, I like that. And then this just gets glued right down onto the back. I'm going to go ahead and bend it so I know where to place this. So it's so satisfying making books. It's kind of I don't know, it's a little bit, it is fun, but it's kind of like, it's a little bit of work to make a really cool book, but once it's made, it's just so cool and tangible. So if you wanted to, you could mark where you're going to place it. I know that I'm just going to be placing it at almost towards the very end of the book here. So I'm just going to go for it. And so the way that these books were made, the ones from Daiso, the accordion page starts this way. And what that does is it allows you to put this page, the very last one, just like that, so it opens like that. So this one opens this way, and the back glue is going to be glued directly to the board behind. So, and then, you know, if you wanted to, you could put binding in between the book cover and the inner lining before you glued it down, and that will give you a nice ribbon to close it with. I never do that. I will probably do that maybe at the very end when I decorate the cover, and then I can just slip everything underneath the decoration, but that's just an option for you to do. And I'm going to glue this down. right about there, because I know it's the same height as the accordion fold. Push that down, and there's only like just a short amount of width between the accordion fold and the edge of the book. So I hope you guys enjoyed that, and like I said, I will have some, I think I have 10 of the accordion books from Daiso for sale in my Etsy store. I will have them listed. I'll have the link below. And isn't that adorable? Oh, so cute. I love it. So here we have the 2 accordion books. This one's the little one with the cardstock from Cards. And then this is the bigger one with the bigger cards. Opens the same way. Thanks for watching and all your wonderful comments, you guys. I appreciate it. If you want to take an in-person class with me, I'll be teaching next year, 2020, in May at a wonderful resort called the Sun Valley Resort in Idaho. And the link will be down below. The art retreat is called Alter Still, and I will be teaching 3 days of classes, mixed media. Two of them will be journal making in two fun types of journals, and then a really funky slow stitch type of a necklace made with fibers and all kinds of fun stuff. So also check out my online school if you want to take a class with me online, and I will see you in the next video.